Then, now we've come to music, we've said aesthetics, we're trying to understand the aesthetics of Carnatic music, obviously. So before we get to Carnatic music, we'll say, okay, we have so many kinds of music in this world, right? And we have categorized them into so many parts. We call certain classical, we call certain fusion, we call certain Western classical, we call certain popular music, Western popular music, we say folk music. We put them all in different categories. Okay. Is there anything in these categories at all, first of all? If so, what? And if you can move, and I don't know, I've lost track of time, so if you move fast, you go ahead. Oh, then we need to move, yeah. So, can we look at that now?
I think the idea of putting things in baskets is a very human thing.
Yeah.
We are very comfortable once things are placed in baskets.
It's thanks to you guys.
No, so much so that we have put the males and females, they don't know what to do there in between.
Okay. Okay, now let's just start from one, I'm just starting from a premise that we accept the categories, okay? But let's just accept at least the nomenclature, not the categories, the nomenclature. And try and see if there is anything to nomenclature. So shall we start from somewhere? Shall we start from, I don't know. Huh?
Start from the second box.
Which is the second box?
What you put in there?
Okay, we have put in so many. So we've said folk, we've said classical, we've said
Western, popular.
popular. Okay, so let's start from folk. So what is folk music?
Village.
Go again?
What do you find in villages and
So what do you find villages is folk music. Anything else?
It's the combination of origin plus a pattern of patterns, perhaps.
Oops, I'm lost there.
The combination of origins, you categorize based on origin plus the combination.
Are you talking about folk music here? No, I'm specifically, the question now is we have a category called folk music. Okay, we all accept. Somehow, finally, if you listen to something, we'll say it's folk music. We may not even know what it is, right? We just place and we say that's folk music. Okay?
Yeah.
We do that. So, how do we actually perceive something as folk and something as not folk?
Primitive.
Themes, very nice. Primitive.
Archetypal.
I love that word.
Ethnic.
What is, okay, I'll come to you with that word because that's a very important word. Primitive.
Ethnic.
Ethnic, that's all these Western scholars. But anyway. Yeah, so what is it? I mean, when you say folk music, what are you referring to as folk music?
Something is simple.
Why is Katai Kumudamma folk music but Shamuri Srinivasaya classical music?
It's not from a formal school.
It's not from a
formal school.
Okay, so you're talking about pedagogy, you're talking about training here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Very nice.
Particular style.
But my question is, what is it? What is that make you categorize it as folk music?
Unconstrained kind of enjoyment.
Unconstrained?
Unconstrained way of rendering their thing he likes, he or she likes it, that's all. This is my opinion.
Okay, can I just break it here and say, give me quick 5 examples of folk music, actual folk music. Can anybody just tell me? The lullaby.
Relative music which comes out of the relationship with, like fishing or
Occupational, very nice. Huh? Okay, very nice. Anything else?
It's a music which would make your daily chores more interesting.
Very nice. Very nice. Anything else?
Any Kutupat is folk music.
Okay. Then okay, what category will say for example? Terukuthu.
That's thematic. You're telling a story. You're telling
So is it folk? Is it folk or is it what? Is Terukuthu folk?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Folk, yes.
Why? Why is it
It's
folk?
probably restrained to the village scenario and tell the moral.
The Carnatic musicians are restrained to the Brahmin community.
Yeah.
So are you folk?
So that's for the common man. It's folk music and it's for folks. It's for people like common.
So are you talking about a class segregation, a
Audience,
social class?
audience.
Is this social class segregation?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, very nice. Anything else? So you have many points that have come. She's talking about a social class segregation.
I don't
Somebody.
know, I'm not sure if I can agree with that particular.
Oh, you don't
point.
agree? Okay.
Because if you once you put a social class, that means you as a performing artist can never sing folk music for us. Would it come to that?
I can sing, you may not listen is what she's saying. Yeah, that's what she's saying, right? I can sing, you may not sing is what she's listen, that's what
That's
she's
a
saying.
perception because that person there talked about polarity a few minutes, but I wasn't there for that initial discussion. But that again is a popularity based. If I like it, I will
Okay,
listen
so
to
you're
another
saying,
who
so you're saying
sings
there is
it.
no social segregation.
I don't want to say that either, but I'm not okay with rigidly saying that is for
Okay.
that class.
So you're just saying it has to be far more flexible than what she said.
You must be politically correct.
Yeah, I somehow like her point of view on that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold. It's the perception, but I'll try and substantiate the perception to some extent.
In many concerts that arcade towards the end of the concert or between a proper classical music, they do introduce a light, tukra type.
So you have decided in your mind that what was sung at that point of time is not classical, right? So one second, hang on. I'm not saying. Let me just complete.
This is definitely
No, let me
classical.
complete.
This classical and western also, right?
Let me complete. In a way, you have to put both in a slightly parallel place in your brain. I'm not saying you dislike anything, you listen, think it's less. I'm not saying you have not put a hierarchy over there. I'm not saying put a hierarchy, but the fact that you placed it away from this. The moment you said they sing classical, and then even in the classical concert, they also sing these songs.
No.
Come on, you said this.
I just said that. I was talking about singing a folk song amidst classical song as not putting them in the same plane. You have to for me personally, I dissociate or associate with folks and Carnatic. When I listen to a Carnatic song, it's Carnatic completely. When I listen to a folk song, it's folk song.
So how do you know this is folk and how do you know this is Carnatic? That's what my fundamental
That's how I've
question.
been trained.
And that is where she is coming from, saying that there is something sociological about it in terms of class positioning also. I'm just extrapolating from what you said, okay, from her perception.
Just a last
Also, the
word.
etymology of the word folk, for example. Folk itself is
Folk.
yes, so the origin of it at some point.
Just a loud word.
And first of all, let's be very clear, we're bringing English word into a very culturally Indian context. So let's be careful also. I agree with you, but let's just be a little more sensitive to that.
Aberration of what is considered pure.
Pure, wow. So there's something not pure about folk.
Aberration.
Aberration, that's even worse. I would have preferred you said it was not pure. Aberration makes it sound worse actually.
I disagree with that.
You disagree with most people here, so let's just accept it.
Even when you say that you want to put various things in various
I said we have put it, I didn't put it.
No, that's correct. I was thinking at the time, you should not discretize this. Because you see, there is a continuous flow from one to the other. It's not.
So from where to
it's not
where?
so discrete.
So I want to
No.
know from where to where.
Huh?
Since you just say there's a flow.
No, as we said, Carnatic music, and then you have this folk music and so on. Maybe it's not completely folk, it's not completely Carnatic. It is.
So I'm curious, the flow is from where to where? You said there's a flow. Right? You said there's a flow. So I want to know where the flow is coming from and where it's going. Just among all the boxes, just tell me the flow type.
No, if K. Krishna sings,
Okay.
Madhumaikum Kanna or something.
Okay.
Okay, so then the flow is.
I wish I don't do that, but anyway. But well, at least the kacheri.
So this flows from Carnatic to folk. But there may be.
Oh, okay.
there may
Interesting.
be a-
Very interesting.
There
Okay.
may be a folk artist who is singing and who is somehow, more musical,
No.
more.
Yeah, but are you really talking about the flow of the music or the flow of the individual? I think I just want to differentiate between
No,
this.
I'm only saying there's
See,
continuous transition.
No, the transition you're talking about is not a musical transition. I'll tell you why. If I sing Madhumaikum Kanna and say one heavy, so whatever we perceive as heavy Carnatic piece, the only transition that is happening is me as an individual and transiting from singing a Carnatic piece to a folk piece. Still the folk piece as we perceive it is folk piece and Carnatic is Carnatic. There is no musical transition happening between them. Now what we perceive as musical transition, I'll try and say what we perceive again, is when say what we think, this was a folk raga, for example, we all use that. And now it is classical. Now that we perceive as actually a flow from folk to classical. Now even that can be debated very, very heavily. Though we have seemed to accept it as almost as a norm, we can debate that. That is a flow that we have accepted. We have accepted that a lot of folk melodies or tunes have later evolved. We keep using the word evolved. These are all words that I am not using. These are words that are generally used by scholars for years, evolved into becoming a classical raga. Okay? So many things. Andaveri, everybody says. Yedukula Kamboji came from the Yerukula tribe, some people say. So you have so many things going around like this. Now, So I think this discussion is very interesting because I was going to ask a question. Terukuthu, we said everybody was folk. Then I have a question. He made a point on training. Do we know that a lot of folk singers actually, or folk presentations, there's intensive training happening. There is probably not written text. Now there we come to another debate on whether training has to be through a written form or through not, but anyway. But there is a training there. Now, for me, myself, I keep quoting this many times, but I'll quote it again. And I remember meeting a Terukuthu presentation, I asked a question, and somebody asked a question, and he said there were 63 Adavus here. Now, I was actually shocked, because I didn't, in my eyes, when I saw them moving their legs in their hands, I didn't see even 5 Adavus, forget about 63. Absolutely true. To me, in my so-called urban sophistication that I perceive myself to have, I just saw the same movement happening, which was very, very casual. I mean, what is that? I didn't even see training, let alone anything. I didn't even think that there was training. I just felt something they picked up in their house and they did. No. So no, 63 Adavas. Now, that was a revelation for me personally in many ways, because my perception of how I had actually class segregated to a certain point, then changed.
That's why you like your point.
That's why I like. So I will tell you more
You kind of
substantially.
got closed.
Yeah, true. Because there are 3 parts to it. One is there a training system? Yes. But is the training system as we perceive what training should be? Probably no. But does that make it any lesser training system? Probably no. Okay. Then one thing I think. So therefore there are certain art forms like Terukuthu. Some people even, there are people who perceive Yakshagana as also being part quasi-folk. And not as Bharatanatyam is classical, but Yakshagana doesn't seem to fit into that box. Okay. What I would like to think of folk is more socially related, occupationally related songs that are sung in houses, in communities. I didn't use that word. At that point, probably there is no concept. I mean, it is like like the paddy when they sing during harvest. It's an occupational song that is created, and there's a lot of community there. When somebody dies, for example, even that you see now. When people die, there are certain songs people sing. Okay. Now, these are songs that are just carried over from generation to generation. They probably change. They probably do. But that is what we could probably categorize into what we could call folk music, as something that is more community driven, maybe quasi-religious also, but more that goes between families, between communities, and is connected to their daily social activity.
I was just hoping for that one word family. It's more of a family tradition, like
Yeah.
generations together.
There's a community
And
there.
even the Terukuthu dance is also very, very strict.
I was just going to say I will not put Terukuthu in that category. I was just going to come to that.
Not the category, it's more family. Okay, this entire family participates.
Carnatic musicians have been like that for the last many generations. Probably there are few. I mean, it's been a family thing. My father was a musician, my son is a musician. Not in my case, absolutely not. I come from a business family, so I'm the last example for that. But in general, your family is of occupation. So that I'm just saying that need not be the case.
The younger generation will have no choice. They have to learn what the father or the grandfather had to do. Today, my dad is a physicist. I can say I don't want to do science, I want to do music.
That's your generation and my generation. But 100 years ago, I can tell you that it probably definitely happened in musicians' families also, where the father and the parents made sure that their children carried over the music. So it happened as much in what we call classical. So let's just move. Then we have, I'm going to quickly go to just 2 more and before we come to Carnatic music very fast. Then we have something called popular music, Western popular music. I think there was a lecture here, and all of you were there, some of you last week. We call it rock, we call it popular music. So that's another category that we have. And it's a very difficult category to actually categorize. Very difficult. Because Western pop and rock music has so many colors to it. I mean, and it has so many subsects, if I can use that word. Each subsect, they'll tell you the kind of harmonies they use in this subsect is different from the other subsect. Okay? But if you look at it, if you try and put them together, there are certain things that seem to sociologically go with a lot of popular music. A lot of Western popular music has its origin in black music. Most of us, we know that. Most popular Western music, rock and roll, everything had somehow their beginnings in black music and connected in social music. A lot of these forms of music were born out of social upheaval or calling for social change, and that continues to a large extent even right through with a lot of other people. In that you have different categories. You have quasi, what they call something like with folk influence, and then you have some which is the suburb, which is very different. But this whole community of Western popular music is a social music, and all the body definitely has a lot of influence of the black community in America. So that I would see as being a very important facet. So we see a large scale, large intent of popular Western music as being social, message oriented, transformation, social transformation, individual transformation too. In folk music you have it as being a kind of a community building, a family building, those kind of things. Then you have, let's come to Indian cinema. I think it is very important to look at Indian cinema and cinema music. So, what is Indian cinema music? Forget about whether it's Tamil or Hindi or
Popular music.
Indian popular. That's Indian. The Indian only popular music in India we have is cinema music.
It's a mix of almost.
But how, if you ask me for a general, if you look for a general categorization of that form of music, how do you look at it?
Entertainment.
Not a recheck. Indian film music.
Okay, let me rephrase. Try and move further from being entertainment and say, what is it about the intent of that musical form that makes it, that you can generalize with all the forms of music?
Sensuality, I think.
A music illiterate person like me can enjoy.
I should tell with the visual, because cinema is visual medium.
Very nice point. Very important point. Very important point that cinema music in it intrinsically has the fact that it is playing a role in a visual medium. Intrinsically has that at its base. All cinema music across board is a part of a visual experience. Okay, it's one cog in the visual experience. And Indian cinema music, by the way, is very logical for an Indian context, because there was a time when music, dance and drama was all one whole concept in ancient times. So first of all, Indian cinema music is probably not necessarily a 20th century creation. Okay, probably there in our social DNA at some point of time, because we didn't have theatre which was separate and music that was separate dance. So there is something about looking at a presentation that has music, dance and drama together, which is part of the cultural context that we come from. And cinema music probably is only a manifestation of that cultural context. Probably because theatre in Indian, traditional theatre always had, even in the early 20th century, had musicians singing, dancing and talking. So I'm just trying to say that we should be very, sometimes we have this dissociation with that whole media of song and dance in a film. Okay? But it's probably not so dissociated as we should perceive.
Yeah, I mean, I just thinking about this visual music in cinema being a part of a visual manifestation. But it's also obviously the case that you are able to enjoy the music without even having seen the movie or.
It does not this
Probably constructed that way.
no, let's put it this way. The fact that it is part of a cinema does not in any way reduce a musical quality to it. Okay? I am not reducing the quality of a composition by Raja by saying it's for cinema. Okay? I am not, or anybody. But the fact is that Raja composed that piece of music, he knew very well that was part of a visual medium that he was contributing to. He didn't compose the music as music, and somebody didn't pick it up and put it on the screen, right? So that is what I mean by saying that it is part. The intent of that music is to be part of a visual medium, and we can never say no. It's similar to drama music or anything, you know. So, okay, now we come to the most important part: classical music.
I just want to say, the converse of it says,
Yeah, go ahead.
Even for Carnatic music, I respond to actual performed music.
That is different.
Rather than tape music.
That is very different. That is different. That is very different. There you're talking about.
Is it also visual?
I'm not saying that there is not also visual. Yes, the person is singing in front of you. There is a live person in front of you. This is a visual. But the music or what I'm singing is not done in order to be represented in a visual or supporting a visual medium. It is a music by itself. Okay. Whereas when it is in cinema, it is part of a visual experience. The whole cinema is one experience, and music and even dance, even the dance that you see dancing around the trees, is part of that experience that comes with cinema being a certain form. Okay? Classical music, quickly.